Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to determine the inverse of rational function, and this is the fourth part. I will put the link of the first, second, and third part in the description box below. Let's take this first example right here. Find the inverse of this function. F of x is equal to 3x plus 2 over x minus 5. In order to find the inverse of any function, we need to follow three steps. The first step is to replace f of x with y. So in this problem right here, I'm going to change this f of x to y. Okay, so once we changed this f of x to y, we're ready to move on to the second step. Replace every x with y and replace every y with x and solve for y. So pretty much this y will become an x and this x will become a y. Okay, part of this step is to solve for y by itself. Now, the first method that I'm going to show you in order that we can solve for y is undoing division. So this y minus 5, we want to get rid of this in the denominator, and we can do that by multiplying both sides by y minus 5. So I multiply this by y minus 5. I do the same thing on the left side, so that's y minus 5. So then I can go ahead and cross out the y minus 5 and y minus 5. Now, we are left with then I'm just gonna show the work up here. Okay, so what are we gonna do next is we are going to distribute the x to both terms inside the parentheses. Okay, so what I did was I distributed the x to both terms inside the parentheses. X times y is xy. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. We want y by itself on one side of the equation. Since y is located on both sides of the equation, so that I can go ahead and subtract 3y to both sides so that all of the y's are on the left side. So minus 3y and minus 3y. So then I can go ahead and cross this out. So I'm left with xy minus 5x minus 3y is equal to 2. Again, I want y by itself. That's part of the second step. So then I can go ahead and add 5x to both sides. So that's plus 5x and plus 5x. So then we are left with xy minus 3y is equals to 5x plus 2. Now notice this, I did not have a 7x right here because this 2 doesn't have an x and this 5 has an x, so they are unlike terms, so I need to put them separately. So that comes out 5x plus 2. I want y by itself, so I'm going to use the distributive backwards. So I will factor out the y. So I'm going to write the y outside the parentheses, and then I'm going to have the x. So that if I have y times x is xy, and then I'm going to write a minus 3. So that if I have y times negative 3 is negative 3y. So it's pretty much like doing distributive backwards or factoring out the y. And that is equal to 5x plus 2. Since I wanted the y by itself, so then I can go ahead and divide both sides by x minus 3 and then divide this by x minus 3. So then I can cross out the x minus 3 and x minus 3. So then I am left with, so I'm just gonna show the work up here. So this would come out, y is the leftover since I already crossed out the x minus 3. So that's y is equal to 5x plus 2 over x minus 3. So that's the leftover since, again, I cancel out the x minus 3 and x minus 3. So then from here, we're ready to move on to the third step. Replace the y of the equation solved in step 2 with f negative 1 of x, which is the notation for inverse. So I can go ahead and rewrite this as f negative 1 of x is equal to, that's 5x plus 2 over x minus 3. And this is the inverse of this function that we have right here. So this one is the inverse of this function. At this time, I would encourage you to pause this video and try this problem out on your own. And when you're done, unpause it and check your answer. Okay, so we go over the problem here. Again, the first step is to replace f of x with y. So I can go ahead and rewrite this as Okay, now we're ready to move on to the second step. The second step is to replace every x with y and replace every y with x and solve for y. So then I can go ahead and rewrite this. Again, the y will become an x, the x will become a y. Okay, now part of this step is to isolate y by itself. In the first example that I gave you, we used the undoing division method in order that we can solve for y. In this second method right here, or in the second example, we're going to use the second method. The second method is that we remember that this x has an invisible denominator of 1. So then we can go ahead and use the cross multiplication. So then I cross multiply these two and I cross multiply these two. So this would come out. So this will pair up with y minus 4. So I can go ahead and rewrite this as... So then we are going to use the distributive property. So then from here, we go ahead and show the work up here. So I'm just gonna rewrite this. Since we want y by itself, so then we can go ahead and put all the y's on the left side. So I subtract 5y to both sides minus 5y. So then we can go ahead and cross the 5y out. So we're left with xy minus 4x minus 5y equals negative 1. Since we want y by itself, so this one doesn't have a y, so we are going to add 4x to both sides. So plus 4x and plus 4x. So then we are left with xy minus 5y is equal to 4x minus 1. Again, this is not 3x because again, we can't combine these two together because the negative 1 doesn't have an x. So we put them as a separate term. So that would be 4x minus 1. So then we go ahead and factor out the y. So it's like doing distributive backwards. So I put the y outside the parentheses. So I put an x here. So if I have y times x is xy. And then I put a minus 5 because if I have y times negative 5 is negative 5y. So then we go ahead and rewrite that for x minus 1. Then from here, we want the y by itself. That's part of the second step. So we can divide both sides by x minus 5 and divide this by x minus 5. So then we can go ahead and cross this out. We are left with y is equal to 4x minus 1 over x minus 5. So then from here, we're ready to move on to the third step. Replace the y of the equation solved in step 2 with f negative 1 of x. So I can go ahead and rewrite this as f negative 1 of x is equal to, then just rewrite this. That would be 4x minus 1 over x minus 5. And this is the inverse of this function right here. Did you get the same answer as this? Good. Perfect. If you find this video helpful, hit like and subscribe for more math videos. See ya!